All right, so today we're checking out the HKMLC 55-inch Smartboard. This is an interactive electronic whiteboard. It's 55 inches, it's a 4K display. It kind of looks like a TV, but it's got a lot of surprising features, I think, that are kind of unexpected. I've been exploring this for a little while here. I'm going to go through all these features. There's a ton of features in this particular product, especially if you're interested in this in a business environment for meetings, office setting. Also in the education environment, classroom setting with students, this is going to be a very, very interesting product for you guys. So in this video, we're going to go over all the product specs and features. I'm going to give you an overview of sort of a little taste of every bit of function of this particular product, because there's a lot of stuff to go over. So the video is going to be kind of long. And then I'm going to have a second video later where I'm going to go into a little bit deeper dive into some of the more important functions, especially the whiteboard and some of the interactivity functions. Those are things that are kind of key highlights of this particular product, and that kind of deserves its own separate video. So for this video, it's going to be sort of an overview, kind of a partial review. I'll give you some of my thoughts initially in this one, and then if you want to go into a deeper dive, we'll have a second video a little bit later in that one. So first off, this is a 4K display, 3840 by 2160. Has brightness about 400 nits, viewing angles 170 degrees, vertical and horizontal. So brightness and viewing angles are very nice in this one, very clear. The backlight is an LED backlight. It's an LCD panel, it's not OLED. The display here has an all metal construction in the frame. Down here is like a silver metal, and then the bezels are all this black metal, and the entire back is metal as well. It's quite heavy actually. It's about 55 pounds. I was a little surprised at how heavy it was. So yeah, obviously getting it out of the box, you probably would need two people. I actually did it myself, but it was a little bit tricky. But I would recommend two people to take it out of the box. You can see here that it is on a nice stand. This is not included. You can buy this separately. I believe it's like $400 right now. It's a very sturdy metal stand. The stand itself weighs about 45 pounds, and that allows the display to hang on here, and you can roll it around. It's got 4 wheels on the bottom. You can roll it around, and so in a classroom or office environment, if you need to move it around for different angles, this stand is highly recommended. Now, if you do want a wall mounted, it does come with a wall mount included with the screen. Also comes with a 15-foot power cable, a few antennas for the built-in Wi-Fi. You get a remote. You also get a couple of pens that will work with the touchscreen. And of course, it includes a user manual. Now, in terms of all of the inputs in the back, you have a audio in, a VGA in, 2 HDMIs, a USB touch port for basically for the touchscreen. You get a USB 3 and a USB 2 port, a TF card reader, so you can actually add micro SD cards there, and then the 2 connections for the Wi-Fi antennas. On the side, you have the power plug, the power switch. You have an RS-232 port, an audio out port, a digital coaxial port, and an Ethernet port. And then there in the front, you've got the power button. You have a USB-C port, HDMI port, another USB touch port, and 2 USB 3.0 A ports. In the front bottom section here, you have 2 15-watt speakers. They're okay. I obviously wouldn't be watching movies on it, but it'll get you by. And then over here in the front is where you're going to put your pen. These are magnetic, and they will just attach to this area right here. And let's go ahead and leave these here for now. So while it might look like just a basic 55-inch TV, it actually is not a TV at all. It's got a huge touchscreen here. It's got built-in Android, which is how this whole thing operates. And obviously, you have some other inputs as well. I have a Roku, it's actually in the back here, so I can watch some videos and other media on here. That's what this little box over here showing the other input. I think that's on HDMI number 2. But the main purpose here is to use this as a whiteboard or some sort as an interactive display for education purposes or meetings. So this is the main launcher interface right here. You have basically your time and date. Got some information here for how to connect to the screen if you're using like a phone or some other device where you want to like send. You can actually send stuff to the screen, or you can actually mirror the screen onto your phone. We'll talk about that here in a second. There is other screens you can get to. So you can see down here, there's 3 dots. You can swipe over to get to this other screen here. It's called OPS, but this is actually for the built-in PC, which is not in this version. So there's a larger 75-inch display touchscreen that has not only the Android, which is what this says built in, but also a separate PC. But we can adjust that in a second. And the other way, we swipe over from to the right or from the left to bring over this right screen here. This is like basically like a hello screen. So you can also adjust this as well. I'll show you that in a second. But you can basically have this as like a main display when, for example, if you're having like a lecture or something or a meeting, people are coming into the room, they'll see this, and then you can swipe over from there to get to the main interface. This is the launcher. You have some apps over here. Got the whiteboard. That's the main thing. We'll talk about that, of course, in great detail. Got the file manager. Basically, it's like you're basically the same as on any Android system. You can click over here to more apps, and this brings up the apps that are currently installed on here. And I think some of these you can't delete. These are just ones that are pre-installed. Got the Google Play Store, YouTube, Gmail, Chrome, and then this little hi welcome. That's that welcome screen that you can actually change to something else. So say you want to use this template here, welcome to our company. You can put that on there. Okay, so there it's saved. Then we can go back. There we go. So you can customize that, or you can completely delete that if you want. So I'll talk about that here in a second. There's a lot to talk about. So these are all your main apps. We're going to probably go through most of these here in the overview. We'll come back to some of these. I'm going to kind of go back and forth here. There's a camera function which you can add via USB. There's no camera built in out of the box, but you can access it via that. And there's also a microphone function as well. And you can also add that via USB, but there's no microphone built in out of the box. Over here are your main system settings. So you got your network. Right now I'm connected to my home network via Wi-Fi, and it's got your IP addresses here, etc. You can turn it off and on here. There isn't, as I said, there's an Ethernet port on the side over there. So if you want to use wired network connection, you can do that. And then the hotspot function is to allow other devices, say like students in the classroom using a smartphone, to connect to the screen to either pull files off of it, mirror the screen to see, like for example, if they're too far away, like in the back of the classroom, they can't see the screen well, they can mirror the screen so whenever you're doing something, they can actually see that. That's what the hotspot function's for. Go over here to general. Here are the different themes for the launcher. So this is the one I've selected right now. You can change the wallpaper to something different if you want. So we'll just select this one here. And the back wallpaper changes. You can auto loop these wallpapers. If you select this here, and it'll actually rotate them every 20 seconds. Or you can go hit that plus button over here and go into your file system and pull custom pictures. You can set the wallpaper to whatever you want. Over here in sound, you can adjust the volume of the built-in speakers. You can adjust the max volume so you don't make it too loud. You can adjust the balance left or right. And you have different sound modes here. So there's standard, meeting room, cinema, classroom, and custom. You can adjust the bass and the treble. Over here on display, you can adjust the brightness. So go ahead and bring it all the way down here. Even at the lowest brightness setting, 0, it's still very, very, very visible. And then you can go all the way to 100. This is the max. And that's not too bad, but that's a little bit too bright for me. So I'm going to bring it down to around 40 to 50. You have different image modes here: standard, bright, brilliant, and then custom. Adjust basically the tone of the display. I'll just leave it on standard. Seems to be totally fine for me. There's this thing called the compass. So when you're in pretty much any screen, you can bring up this little thing called the compass. And it has like your standard, basically like a back button, home button. You have I think this one here shows you all your apps that are currently running. This one here is the Windows PC, which I just clicked by accident. This side menu over here is like a navigation sidebar. You can click on this, it'll bring it up, and then you can hit home. But to bring up that compass, you hit, basically I have it set to, it'll disappear. So you use all 5 fingers and then basically press the screen like this and it'll bring that up. All of these interface elements are customizable as well. This one over here, the pen is the annotation. I think, what is this one here? Oh, this one brings up the whiteboard. So let's go back home again. And then that brings up the compass. And then if you tap it, it'll go away. But you can adjust that in the settings. So we go back to the settings here. And we currently have it turned on. So right now I have the compass set up to fade away. So when you tap on it, it disappears. But you can have it folded into small circles. And then it looks like this. And then you can actually move it around the screen to wherever you want. And then just tap on that. Just tap on it and it'll bring up all your menu items. And you can see the auto fold setting here is currently set to always on. But if you want to auto fold in say like 5 seconds, you can tap on that. And then after 5 seconds, it'll collapse. There it goes. And then again, you can just move it away. So say for example, if you're in another app, not in the launcher, for example, the whiteboard, and you want to quickly go to the home, back to the launcher, you hit this, hit home, and you're back to the launcher. Of course, you can always navigate in any app from over here on the side, this sort of side navigation. You have your back button, home button. This button here shows you your different apps that are currently running. This is just like in any Android, you can just swipe these away and it'll clear out of memory, like so. This is the annotate button here. So basically, we're in any application that you can annotate wherever you want, and it'll actually save it as a whiteboard. So let's go ahead and let's clear everything here. Click on this, and then we'll change the color to white, and then basically you can like circle stuff or point arrows. You can see I can just use my finger to do whatever, and then you can save, and then it'll save it to your local file system. You can format either as an image or a PDF image, we'll say, and then save. Then this will show up here under, this is like a different stuff that you've saved. Annotations are going to show up in the lower left-hand corner over here. Go and exit out of this. Go back to the home screen, and this menu item over here are your settings, or the control panel. So you can, from here, adjust your volume very quickly. It's like show your quick settings, adjust your brightness. Also, your apps show up down here as well. So you can scroll this up and scroll these over. These are the same ones that are in the launcher, but you have access to them from this little quick menu. And then here are all your little shortcuts. So when it's lit up blue like this, it means it's active. So currently Ethernet's active. I can turn that off because I don't have anything connected via Ethernet right now. I have Wi-Fi connected. I want to use that, so I'm going to leave that on. I want the hotspot active. It does have Bluetooth as well, so it's like any Android device, but it's currently turned off. This is the screenshot button here. So click on that, and then you can say if you want to grab something. Let's go ahead and grab that. Hit the check mark. You can then name your file and then save it. Go ahead and exit out of that. So it's the screenshot. This is the vision care button. This is like to reduce blue light. So obviously it's turned kind of grayish colored. I guess it's to If you're staring at the screen for a long time, this is what that's for, to give you a little bit better for your eyes. The regular screen is totally fine for me. You can adjust the touch sensitivity here. If you feel like it's not sensitive enough, you can tap that, but I find it's sensitive enough. This is the eco button. I believe that's a power saving setting, so it'll auto shut down the screen, but I don't want that to happen while I'm actually recording this, so I'm going to leave that off. Swipe over here, we have some other settings. Touch lock, basically it just prevents any people from using the touch screen. Screen lock, locks the screen totally. You have listen alone, so it basically turns the screen off, powers down the backlight, and just lets you use the speakers. So if you have like a podcast or something you want to listen to, you can do that. It's for that mode. And then you have the screen off here. Tap that and the screen powers down. But if you wave your hand in front of it like that I just did, it'll just turn back on again. So let me just show you. It happened a little bit quick there. So I'll go power off the screen. You can see it is turned off, but then as soon as I touch the screen, it'll power back on again. So this one here turns off the built-in PC, but I don't have that. This button here turns off the power, which I don't want to happen right now. You can restart the Android system with this button here, and then I'm not really sure what freeze does. Maybe it takes a screenshot of the screen. I'm not really sure what this one does. This one here is called screen down. I think that also works with a built-in PC because it doesn't seem to do anything when I tested it. Mute, obviously mutes speakers. Auto backlight, basically adjusts the brightness of the backlight based on the ambient light, but I don't want that happening while I'm recording this video. The spotlight feature here, you can actually highlight a section of the screen, and then it'll darken the rest. If you click on this, and then you can adjust the opacity. If you want to make it a circle, you can make it a circle. If you want to make it bigger, you can do that. Pinch out and pinch in. That way, like if there's a particular part of the screen you want highlighted, it's like I want to highlight the apps here, you can do that. That's what that function is. And then this curtain function is kind of interesting. So it puts up like a generic picture. You can change this in the settings as well, and you can reveal something. It's like, oh, I want to reveal this, but I want this still hidden over here. You can do that. You can swipe over from the left, or you can swipe down. Swipe over from the right, or from the bottom. All right, so I got a little sidetracked there. So I'm gonna go back to the compass here. I'm gonna change it back to always on and fade away. There's this gesture interaction. You can long press with 5 fingers to activate the compass. I have that turned on. So do that. Press 5 fingers on the board, and then that comes up, and I can make it go away. So you can do the double tap with 2 fingers to lock the screen and wake it up. So let's go ahead and try that. I have that turned off. Let's turn that on and sleep. So double tap with 2 fingers. Okay, that turned it off. Oh, and that turned it back on. All right, back into the settings again. And then there's the screen down feature. Swipe down with 3 fingers to move the screen down. So let's see what this does. Let's go back home. 3 fingers. This feature seems to only work with a built-in PC, which this model does not have. You have your screen record settings over here. So there's a function to record the screen, and you can record it either in 720p or 1080p, and then you can record the sound source, either the media sound, microphone sound, or both. And then you have a screen record time limit. It's probably going to be limited by how much file space you have, but you can always plug in a USB drive or a micro SD card to record to that. Under device here, you have your Bluetooth turned off right now. Printer, you can use an app to print stuff from here if you want. Again, as I mentioned earlier, you can add a microphone or a camera via USB. Okay, this channel feature here is basically if you have a PC or an Android, you can pick which one will be the one that'll pop up. This one only has Android, so that's what this has. And under system here, you can adjust your date and time, languages, power status, do your system updates here, system security. Here's pretty much all your standard Android stuff here. And here's the specs. You have 8 gigs of RAM, 120 gigabytes of storage, 3840 by 2160 is the screen. And it is running Android 12. It has an 8-core CPU. So this app over here is called Mirroring. It's actually called eShare. So if you go back to the home screen, go back here, and you can see up here on the top, there's like this hotspot password, and there's an app you can get on your phone. It's called the eShare app, and it'll allow you to mirror the screen, and you can also interact with the person that is using the whiteboard. So let's go into the whiteboard. So I have the eShare app installed on my smartphone right now, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the mirror function. And as you can see here, you probably can't tell, but I can see, I'm seeing what's on the screen. So if I, draw something on here, so I'll just do, all right, test on here. And as you can see, that is now mirrored over here. Also, I can interact with that screen and I can draw on here as well. So I'm drawing on my phone. As you can see now, it's showing up over here. The little mouse shows over there. So you can interact with people in the audience. So if I'm doing a lecture or something and I'm writing on here, and someone could also be participating on their phones. It's kind of this is probably one of the coolest things about this product is that this interactivity function. So we'll probably deep dive into that in the second video. Just wanted to quickly demonstrate that, and then you can see I've exited out of here. So you can see that there's a user currently installed or connected over here, connected device. Okay, so now that we're in the whiteboard application, let's go ahead and just demonstrate. So you can see I'm just mainly using my finger to draw on here. So let me just go and erase stuff here. So to do the eraser, you just use the back of your hand, or basically like the top of your hand. Either way, it'll work. I think the way it determines whether you're using the writing tool or the eraser tool is how much connection between the screen and whatever object you're using. So for example, if I'm using the pen, it can clearly tell that this is a pen, but then the eraser is also very thin. And if I use the eraser side, it just looks like another pen. So for me, unless I'm writing something kind of small, so you can put like sort of small words over here. The pen's kind of useful. But there's all these other tools down here. We're going to talk about that some more. But you can also create multiple whiteboards. Hit this little plus button down over here. So I've got 3 different ones going. And they're numbered down over here, 1, 2, and 3. So this is 1, so let's put a 1 here. Then go to the next one, it's blank. Put a 2 over here. Go to the next one. That's the third one. And we can go back. Also, let's go ahead and erase that. And also you can split the whiteboard into multiple sections. So and over here you have 2, 3, or 4. So let's do 3. And you can have 3 different people on here doing stuff. So I could be writing something over here, someone could be doing something over here, and then another person can be over here doing something else. And they can't cross over. So once you start writing on this side over here, see nothing happens until I come back over here like this. Same over here, doing over stuff over here, and then I come over here, nothing happens. Can change the color here. So say I want this guy to be blue over here, and then maybe I want this guy to be red. You can do all that. And let's go ahead and exit out of here, and I'm not going to save my squiggles. Okay, so to bring up other options for the pen, you can change the thickness of the pen. So down here you can see the preview of the thickness of the pen. They can make it very thick, that's the max. So just to give you an idea, you can see the difference here. The medium thickness is probably fine. You can change the color, etc. And let's go ahead and erase all this. Also, this touch panel has what's called 20 points of, I guess, some responsiveness. So obviously you can just use your finger and a pen and just have like one touch point. You can have 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, or I guess in my case we'll just do all 10 right here. And if you had another person, you could do both hands for 2 people and have 20 touch points. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to exit this. I'm not going to save that. All right, let's go back into the whiteboard. So you can have actually a different color for the pen and the eraser. So right now I have the pen side is white, but the eraser side is currently blue. So you can actually click on the pen or the eraser. I think that's one of the advantages of using this. So you have basically 2 different colors. So we have the pen side in white. Flip it over to the eraser side. So I have to use the side of the eraser. If I use the very tip of the eraser, it comes out in white because I think it's a pen. Okay, so this feature is a little bit buggy. Let's go back in here. This is the eraser. I'm going to clear the whole board. All right, another really cool feature of the pen is you can click this little section here. It's called, this has a little letter on here. It says T. And so you can actually take your scribbly letters. So for example, I'll write this on here and it will convert it into nice text like that. And then the other one is this one here. It's the shape one. So, if I'm kind of I want to make a circle, but yeah, it's not a very good circle. Oh, it made a perfect circle for me. Or maybe I'll make a square, not a very good square. And now we have a perfect square in here. Triangle. Boom, we have a nice perfect triangle. Now, if you want to make shapes, you can go into this shape tool over here. And there's a bunch of predetermined shapes. A little box with some rounded corners. Maybe I'll use an arrow to point somewhere else. And draw a little semicircle. So we have a nice little shape tool. And then if you want to select these to do things, you can use the selection tool here. And then you just circle this. I'll select that and you can move it around. You can resize it like so. Want to change the color, you can change the color. You can duplicate that, so I made a copy of it. Or just go ahead and trash it. Select that again, you can trash that. Select, get rid of that. And then go back to the eraser tool here. There's a standard eraser, which is, you can just do that, like I was showing you before. This one here is the okay, so it's a selection eraser is that one here. So let's put a object back up here, and if I want to select something like that, oh, that gets rid of the whole thing. So instead of rubbing it out, you'll just select the whole thing with the back of your hand, and it'll erase that whole section. Pretty cool. But if you have all the, let's go back to the pen. If you have a bunch of stuff on here and you want to erase the whole thing. That clears the whole thing out. And I just want to show a few more things here. You can do some 3D, a little circular diagram. Here's some little, got some pyramids. And if you want to undo, that's the back button there, or redo, hit that button there. There's this plus button here. You can add other stuff. So there's the little picture icon here. It'll bring up if you want to add a picture that you've saved before. So there's something that I saved previously. We'll select that. And then hit the plus button. Then that puts it up on the screen there. And let's go ahead and erase all that. You can put a grid on here. So let's put a little 3x3 grid on the screen. And I'm going to select this. Oh, I can move that around. I'm going to erase this. Let's do that grid again without other stuff on the screen. So do a 3x2. And then you can then write stuff in here. So 1, 2, 3, etc. Oh, I still have that this enabled here, so I need to turn that off. Go back to the regular pen, and then I'll erase everything. You can put your, like, they have different rulers and protractors. You can put them on the screen here. You can adjust the size by pinching in and out. So if you want to measure something, and let's say two different things you want to measure on the screen, you can use the ruler. There's a protractor as well, and I think you can also, you can measure your angles here. That shows up here. This is actually a compass, I believe. And get rid of that. You can actually bring in stuff from a different source. So this is that Roku that's on HDMI 2. You can actually bring this in onto the whiteboard. Kind of cool. It looks like it just saved like a screenshot of it. Get rid of that. This button here is called the mind map. Oops. So let's go ahead and you can select it. You can move it around, you can make it bigger. And then you go here, then you can put stuff in here. Like etc. All right. I think this is this is the WPS, like some sort of an office app that's on here. You can bring in your, Word documents and stuff like that. I'm not going to cover that in this video. In this video right now. Let's go ahead and exit out of this. Also, you can bring in video files. This globe, I think, is Google Maps or images. You can bring in images from the web. So this is another thing. It's called, I'll probably cover in the second video. It's called the voting kit. So you can actually enter a subject. So test, option A, option B, and then you have multiple choice, anonymous voting, hit start voting. And then you can have your students or whoever scan this QR code on their phone, and it'll bring up something like a web page where you can actually vote on whatever you just set up here, and then you'll get the results. When the voting is ended, you'll get the results of who voted for what. So if there's like a test or a quiz or something, and you want to put something on here, you can have them scan the QR code, get that, enter in their poll, and then you'll get the data that way. So it's kind of cool. They have this like a lot of interaction available to you. And then over here, this is, you can either have the multiple touch like this, or this little button here. If you click this, you have this little pinch icon, so you can adjust the size of objects on the screen. So if I have this object here, I can actually adjust the size of it by moving pinching and zooming in and out like that with 2 fingers, but I have to turn that mode on. Otherwise, if I go back to the multi-touch mode, when I do that, it doesn't do what I expect, so it's not going to work. All right, down here in the lower left-hand corner, you have additional settings for your whiteboard. New, open, save, save as, upload to cloud. I think that's the one from Microsoft. I think OneDrive it works with this one. You can email. So once you have your whiteboard set, you can email it. You can hit this little scan button here. Hit this. Okay, so in order to demonstrate that scan feature, let me just put some stuff here on the whiteboard since I don't want to send a blank one. So I'll put some stuff on here real quick. And then if I want to send this to somebody, go back over here to scan. It will bring up this QR code, hit this plus, and then your people in the audience can scan the QR code with their phone, and it'll bring up a website. It just basically takes a snapshot of the whiteboard, and as you can see, let's rotate that. There is the whiteboard, so you can send it to your students. All they have to do is scan that QR code. You can also email the whiteboard. You have to set that up though. I don't have that set up right now. And then you have additional settings over here. Time display switch, background settings. Okay, so right now I have this square grid, which is this dark color, but maybe I don't really like that dark color. I'm going to switch this to maybe this purple color here instead, and I want the grid, or I want a different kind of grid. Then switch it over to this sort of larger grid with some dashes. Also, you have this custom here. You can actually select a BMP or PNG or JPEG file that's 3840 by 2160 pixels. So if you want a background image that's your own custom image, you can do that. Let's see, this little polka dot one. A little grid with little dots in the center. A small grid. Yeah, that's fine. Or you can go with no grid at all, just blank. All right, so let's go ahead and exit. So of course, these are the main apps here. Pretty standard Android stuff like your calendar, calculator, gallery. Not really going to cover any of that stuff. There's this timer function. You can bring that up, and then you can set a timer. So for example, it's hours here. Let's set a 4-second timer. And then you can move this around. It doesn't matter what app it's in. And then the alarm will go off when the timer stops. Go ahead and stop that. So you can say if you want to keep track of how long your class is going, you can have this running in the background. Close that. So hardware detection app just kind of shows you some system stuff here, how much memory you have, storage, and CPU. And then you just do this one-click optimization. You've probably seen this on your phone or your Android tablet. It's basically the same thing. Camera, again, there's no camera in here, but you can add one later. System settings. Oh, this is that voting tool that I was talking about, the polling tool. It's called VoteKit, and if you hit that, it brings this up. That's what I brought up in the whiteboard through that little icon, but you can actually, these are actually apps that are built in. And again, there's the screen record here, so you can screen record based on those settings that I showed you earlier, which is currently set to 1080p. Also, you have your standard Android apps too, like Chrome, Gmail, YouTube, and you get your Play Store. So if you go into the Play Store here, you can search for additional apps like games and stuff like that. So we'll talk about that in the second video. We'll see how useful some of these games can be. And of course, because it's a touchscreen, all these touchscreen type games will work really well here. But it's like basically a giant 55-inch tablet is what you're looking at. So obviously in this video, we mainly covered the whiteboard features. We're going to do a little bit more of that in the second video. Also, I'm going to do a little bit about adding a PC, because this one didn't come with a PC, but I have a small PC that I could add to this and basically use the screen and the touchscreen functions in Windows 11 with this screen. So if you would rather use Windows apps instead of the Android apps here, you can then it opens up this device to a whole universe of Windows applications, touchscreen applications that you can use. So I'm going to talk about that in the second video. Do a little bit of like other applications you can use this screen for. Obviously, there's media consumption. I have a Roku on here, so obviously you can watch videos, movies, TV shows, etc. There's also gaming. It is a 60 hertz display, so not the best for the if you want the lowest latency type of games, but for most games, especially any kind of touchscreen games, this is going to be totally fine. You can also use it just as a screen with a controller. Maybe we'll also look into not only the Android gaming, but also maybe some PC gaming as well, and how useful this would be for that. Anyway, I think that's going to cover for this first video on the HKMLC 55-inch Smartboard. Very interesting device. I think it's got a lot of potential for not only the current applications that you see here, but an extension to a lot of other things, because you can use it with Windows as well. So that'll be covered in the second video. Leave all your questions, things I may have perhaps missed. There's always some stuff that I potentially missed. If I missed anything really egregious, let me know in the comments. If you want a little more a deep dive into some other stuff, let me know as well. I may make some additional videos in the future on this particular product. That'll do it for this video for now, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.